Hey, IT Nation, Sean Lordo here with another installment of the Wise Up podcast. I'm on with my co-host and very good friend, Matthew Topper. So for those of the people that have never seen the Wise Up podcast, please, Matt, let them know what that is.
Yeah, so the Wise Up podcast is a way to interact and meet with people in and around IT Nation that you wouldn't otherwise talk to, right? They're not just people who are on stage all the time. They're not just people who are hanging out at the booths at conferences. They're people who have done things, and they're people who we can learn things from. So the whole point of the Wise Up podcast is to expose you to people who have something to say, something to contribute, and something that you can bring back to your business, like actionable today, right? Like real practical advice.
Absolutely. So, and today is no different. Today's guest actually has become a pretty good friend of mine. I've seen him, I met him 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago now at this point. He is the founder and CEO of ThreatMate. He's also in his second year of being part of the Pitch It competition. So without further ado, let's bring on Anup Ghosh, please.
Hey guys.
What's up, man?
Anup.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you're on your boat doing this again, as always.
Boatcast.
Nice.
Trademark.
You need the prestige. You need a prestige worldwide on the back of your wall there.
A what? Worldwide?
Prestige worldwide.
I don't
Step
even know
Brothers.
what that is. Sorry.
We'll work on the culture later. Anyway, okay, so yeah, Sam, I can't say that. If you look in the private chat, you'll see exactly what I'm referring to, Anup.
Okay.
So for those that don't know you, Anup, let's give a little bit of background on you real quick. I already started by saying founder and CEO of ThreatMate, but what else do you want to say?
Well, I would say I'm a longtime cybersecurity guy, like long before it was cool. Of course, I'm older than most people, but I got started in the mid '90s in cybersecurity and kind of built a career starting out in R&D, cybersecurity R&D. After 9/11, went into DARPA, where we did a whole bunch of badass stuff around cyber warfare, doing bad things to other bad guys, I would say, in the cyber realm. And after that, basically kind of realized that, we were the emperor with no clothes. And that kind of motivated me to go build cybersecurity solutions to protect US firms, right? So that was sort of the origin story, which was, hey, we're pretty good at breaking other people's shit, but we're pretty bad at defending our own. What?
You're not wrong.
Love the reference. I know, and I love the reference of the emperor with, the no clothes. I love that. Okay, so
yeah.
All right, so how long ago did you decide to venture off into starting this company?
Well, ThreatMate, we started back in 2023. So we're still pretty early stage. And, my background before that was I started a company called Invincia, which was really focused on the enterprise space. And we built out EDR solutions that were our secret sauce was kind of a little bit ahead of time. We were using machine learning to find malware without the malware being previously known. At the time, most people were using signature-based systems. We said it's not going to work for most malware that's created on the fly. So we did pretty well with that. We got acquired by Sophos in 2017 and spent a year at Sophos. They basically upgraded their entire antivirus endpoint suite at the time into what's now known as Intercept X. And after that, just went to some other firms. One was Accenture, where I was global head of their platforms for managed security services. And then after that, went to Fidelis Cybersecurity, which was a network security company. Ran that for a couple of years, and then started ThreatMate focused on the small business. And this is a space that I haven't been in, prior to starting ThreatMate. So it's been a great learning experience. It's a very different community, as we know. Human touch is really important. Going to conferences is very important. Establishing your own personal relationship is very important. So our whole goal with ThreatMate is to bring all the knowledge that we gleaned from national security, selling to large enterprises like banks and U.S. government that have high security needs, but being able to simplify it and make it easy for the managed service provider. And so at ThreatMate, what we say is we automate cybersecurity, left and boom. So that's sort of our pitch in a nutshell.
What do you find the biggest differences going from a highly structured environment like enterprise, like government space, to, let's face it, not structured might be a gentle way to put the typical MSP or SMB? What's it like? Or what'd you notice when you stepped into that world?
I'd say first off, Matt, you're almost always talking to a buyer in the MSP space. In the enterprise space, it takes a while to kind of even figure out who the decision maker is, right? Finally get that buyer. Sales cycles are extremely long as a result, which isn't fun, frankly, when you're trying to sell product. Another thing I'll say is in cybersecurity in particular, you had to specialize. You had to really carve out a very small niche in the enterprise space, because there were so many firms, so many startups in cybersecurity in the enterprise space. So everyone kind of had to find their one little thing, and everything was sort of additive and kind of contributed to the cybersecurity sprawl, right? Where you would have 60 to 80 different cybersecurity solutions in a SOC. My belief in the MSP space is people don't want that. They would rather have a platform that addresses as much of the attack surface as possible in a single view. And so, that really informed our product strategy, which is how do we automate as much as possible, understanding that the people who use our platform don't have the time to go learn every single product that's out there and have 10 different windows to be able to take care of stuff.
So since you weren't originally from the space and you came into the space, how did you determine what the real value add was, or what your product market fit should look like? Like, how did you find this all out? Because that's a big challenge for a lot of companies.
Oh, there are so many challenges. Like, how do you even come up with a go-to-market plan, right? I think the way you do is you learn by doing. And the first thing I learned, and this is kind of why we joined Pitch It last year, was to really get in front of your customer, spend time talking to them. So I have a great deal of respect for all the people that have all the miles on their shoes, right? And, we know some of these folks like Rob Ray and some of the other folks in the community that go to every conference, and really what's happening is they're spending a lot of time talking to the managed service providers. And so that's one reason I have a lot of respect for the sales guys, frankly, is they spend a lot of time on the floors talking to people. So that's a real positive. I think a counter to what I just said is, if you're spending time in the booth only, you're not doing what you need to do, right? You need to spend time in the sessions or outside the sessions. Kind of like what you do, Sean, is you spend a lot of time in the hallways, I would say. Like, the hall con is way more important than the exhibit hall. And those conversations, and I did this at IT Nation Secure, right? It was the lunches, it was the breakfasts, and then sometimes I would plant myself in those seating areas like outside the sessions and where people would just sit. And, you know, I found it wasn't really just me. It was the other people, the MSPs talking to each other. That's where a lot of the learning happened. Like they would just start, you know, ripping on whatever, you know, oh, how are you using Chat GPT to automate this with Microsoft Teams? Like, oh, that's interesting. So yeah, I mean that spending time talking is really the best way to learn. Yeah.
What's the most common question
Yep, I would agree.
you overheard or you got?
Uh-oh. Okay. So I'm going to listen to what Matt's asked me. What's the most common question?
Yeah, you said you were sitting out in the hall, IT Nation Secure, pretty technical audience, right? Some practitioners there. What's on their minds? What are they worried about?
I would say AI, and I'm shocked to say that because we know that MSPs tend to be a little bit on the lag side of technology, right? They're later adopters of tech, and so that's conventional wisdom anyway, right? So stuff hits enterprise face first, especially startups, and they're willing to take risks to kind of get an edge. What I found is AI is sweeping the MSP space, the practitioners, not just the companies. I know the vendors are quick to use the buzzwords, right? But the MSPs are hungry for practical lessons learned in AI. And there's a practical reason for it, Matt. And I think it comes down to, can you make my job easier, do better, be more efficient? Right. I think that's what's driving the thirst for AI. And I kind of have a whole thesis about this, but that's what I'm hearing. Like the hall chatter I'm hearing is, what are you doing with AI and how is it helping you? Not, don't give me a vendor pitch. They're not asking me, by the way. I'm just saying this is what I'm hearing people talk about.
Absolutely. So you're correct, and I think the challenge is the definition of AI is subjective to the use case and the person talking. I love this conversation because, again, our era of AI, Anup, you and I, was supposed to be the Terminator, right? And Skynet. That was supposed to be AI, which it isn't, right? But again, so when you're going down this path of conversation about asking about AI, when you go to explain it, is there a certain place you should start to explain this? Is there a certain thing is there a certain question that I should ask somebody when they're like, how to use AI? What's the rebuke?
Yeah. So, you know, I am finding that the folks asking the questions are amazingly sophisticated, both in their questions and in their current knowledge. So the first thing I would say if you're a vendor is don't mansplain units to a guy. You know, they're pretty sophisticated users. So, you know, you're going to learn, you're learning as they're learning. We're all learning this at almost the same pace. And by the way, if you're not learning, you're falling behind. I'll say that to literally everyone, right? If you're not learning AI every week, you're falling behind. And I think people get that, right? And so I think what really, here's the way I try to articulate it is, you guys, well, Sean, you're old enough to remember the peace dividend from the Cold War, right? And it was in quotes, right? It was like in quotes, there's a peace dividend, we should be spending less on defense, blah blah. So my thesis in this space is people are looking for the AI dividend. They're not looking for buzzwords. They're looking for the AI dividend, which the way I would explain it is, how can I do more with either the same or less? And this is what I think cuts through a lot of the BS, which is the number one thing that MSPs care about is revenue and profitability, right? That's what drives most of their activities. How do I either add new clients or, you know, grow my margin with my existing clients? Number two thing I would say is reducing churn, right? So with the AI dividend, what I would put out there is, as you're adopting AI, how can you do more with the same or with less. And one metric that people are using is how many endpoints can I manage per tech, if you will, right? And so if I can manage, for example, 1,000 endpoints with one tech, can I now with AI manage 2,000 endpoints with the tech? So can I grow my business without adding, the number of people I traditionally would have had to add? That's essentially AI dividend I think people are looking for. And people are asking questions. How do I automate more so I can do more with less? I think that's really kind of the questions that people are after. Another way it's spoken I've heard is digital workers. That makes it easier to kind of, grasp what they're after is they're looking for digital workers, right? They're 24/7. They're not just 9-to-5ers Monday through Friday. They can answer the phone. They can execute tasks for you. Agentic, of course, is going to play large in this. We're reworking our architecture, our SaaS architecture to be agentic specifically to allow other people to run agents against our platform, right? So I think there will be a lot of changes in the vendor community to make this a realizable vision.
So pre-show,
Yep.
I made kind of a joke when you said, Matt, you're the comic relief. Tell me a joke. And I said, the kind of a joke is that the MSPs understand what the threat landscape is. And of course, it was a little tongue-in-cheek joke, but I think let's dig into security a little bit. What I
Sure.
really mean by that is, you're an MSP. If you're not specializing in security, or you don't have someone who's a practitioner or experienced in this on staff, the
Yeah.
entire field of cybersecurity can be overwhelming for you. So, can you give a serious answer to the question I posed? Like, what's one
Yeah.
thing that MSPs are really missing that they don't get about the bigger security picture?
Well, I think I'm even more defeatist than you, Matt, on this one. But I've used that to, motivate what we do with our platform, right? So in the enterprise space, we sold to true cybersecurity specialists who oftentimes are smarter than, some of our developers, and so we would get great advice that you need to. I think what we understand is the people that we sell to are not cybersecurity subject matter experts, and wishing them to be is not, is not a plan. It's a hope, right? So what we do is say, look, because we have machine learning, because we have AI built into our platform, we can build the cybersecurity into the box, right? And so the whole idea here is you do what you're good at, which is servicing your client needs. And what we will do is empower you to solve cybersecurity and automate that process for your clients. But at the end of the day, we are reducing attack surface, we're increasing resiliency of your client networks, and we're doing it for you, right? That's the promise that we're trying to deliver on, is automate cybersecurity. So I don't worry, I don't sweat, the threat side of this too much, to be honest, in terms of the people we sell to not understanding it, because I kind of feel like that's why they use us, because we do understand that side of it. I also understand that this is a business, and the people we sell to are also in business. And so we need to solve business pain points more than we need to solve nation state threats, if you will, right? Which is what we used to focus on, nation state threats. So I think to answer simply, Matt, I don't sweat if these guys don't know about the latest 0-day sweeping through, that they're not aware of. That's my job to take care of that for them. What I need them to know is we're going to solve their clients' business pain points, which is typically things like, hey, I've got to get cyber insurance, and this here says I need MFA set up on all these accounts, right? I need EDR enabled. I need, vulnerability patch management on a schedule. a whole bunch of requirements that we actually look for them and then solve for them. That's sort of my take on this. Is I don't need my customers to be cybersecurity subject matter experts.
Yeah, it's such a good point. You always hear those big bones that appear in the news, and like, right, you follow whatever sites you follow, and 9 times out of 10, there's nothing actionable except, yeah, you should still be patching everything the way that you've always supposed to do
Yeah.
it, right? Like, as the
Yeah.
person in charge of security, there's no action for you to take. What's something that is actionable that MSPs can take? Is there something that they're not doing that you think maybe they should be in terms of security? Is it maybe having more risk-based conversations, maybe more business-based conversations? What's your take on that?
I think it would be more business-based conversations. My view is MSPs and their small business clients look at security as a necessary burden, right? And so, yeah, it's not fun. It's kind of like talking about taxes. It's not fun bar conversation, right? But here's where it gets fun, right? And for MSPs in particular, we have finally figured out how you can make cybersecurity for fun and profit, right? And that's automated pen tests, soon be AI pen tests. And this is a tool that allows MSPs to win new clients and sell more services. That's fun. Like making money is fun. I don't think anyone here disagrees with that, right? And so we believe the best way for MSPs to make money is to run an automated pen test with ThreatMate, of course. I don't care. Run an automated pen test on your prospects and build out an amazing cybersecurity risk assessment. Present it to that prospect. You will be the genius that says, look at all these issues that you have that need remediating, rectifying. You look like a genius. Then go fix all the stuff. We tell you how to do that. Land them as a client. And to leave behind is that continuous daily monitoring and remediation, right? So that I think is a turning point for this sector. Is you're going from sort of a necessary burden to an opportunity to win new clients and grow your profitability. And I love that. And I think it's absolutely a game changer. If you're not on board with running an automated pen test, AI pen test, you need to be very quickly, because guess what? Someone else is, and they will run it on your clients, right? So that's what I think is a big deal. And I think you're going to see this space of automated pen tests, AI pen tests blow up over the next year, and we intend to be at the front of that.
All right. Well, Sean is lagging, so let me ask the last question here. So we always end the show with the same question, and that is, if you could recommend or give advice in the form of a habit that everyone watching, listening should either start doing or stop doing just to make their business better, or in this case, maybe increase their security operational maturity, what would that be? What should they start doing or stop doing?
Yeah, I think I'll be a little more philosophical than sort of, in the weeds on this one. And John, you might remember this from the 90s, I believe. Think. Remember that IBM Think?
Stop dating us.
Yeah, like people would put this like literally on their terminal monitor, Think. And it still applies today. And frankly, I do my best thinking when the laptop is closed, right? And on Reddit, what do they say? Go out and touch the grass. Same kind of thing. So my advice is close the laptop, go take a walk, touch the grass, what have you. Think. Service your clients better by thinking more than, doing. I always do my best thinking when I'm away from my laptop. Frankly, at the conferences, talking to people, right? So go to the sessions, yes, but spend a lot of time talking to people. You will get a lot more value. And for all the folks who might be listening to this podcast, right? sure, I'll pitch IT Nation to go to their conferences, but go to, even if you can't go to 5 conferences a year, go to something local, right? Find your local group, go meet people, talk to them. That's where your learnings will happen, right? So close the laptop. Hate to say it, that human thing. Go meet some people, go talk to people. It'll make your life better.
All right. Well, thank you for Anup. Thank you for coming on to IT Nation Wise Up. We learned quite a bit from you. Everyone listening, go take a look at ThreatMate, and we'll see you next time on IT Nation Wise Up.